Woman been enough for fun. I say my labyrinth, I'm on for fun.
Hi guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in. I know it's been a while since I posted a chat video. It's been a while since I posted anything. I promise I'm trying. Anyways, there's been a lot going on, but before I continue with everything that I have in store for you guys, I've uploaded a few renovation videos, but before I continue, I want to talk about a few things that I've been watching with that other YouTubers have complained about. This is not a response video, but it's more like a common sense. I just want to make three major points, and the first major point I want to make is, when you're moving to Africa, it's been 6 weeks. It's been 6 weeks since my family and I been here, and I just recently had a cultural shock. I don't know if it's a cultural shock, but I came to reality as far as Africa is concerned, or Ghana style, or the African style reality, the African way. And I say that to say, I don't care how many times you've visited a country. Once you move, it's totally different, and I just had that reality check recently. I had that reality check so hard recently, and I boo-hooed over it, and my husband was laughing at me, my kids, everybody was laughing at me, but it was funny, but it was not a good thing. But anyways, I lived in Ghana, a little backstory. I lived in Ghana like 8 years, way back, as a Liberian refugee, before I moved to America for 22 years, and now I'm back. And although a lot have changed in Ghana, but not a lot has changed. And I say that not just in Ghana, but on the whole continent of Africa as a whole. So here's the thing: if you're gonna move from any Western country, Europe, North America, Canada, America, England, any Western country, because I've been to other parts of the world, and they live like us Africans. They live like how they do in Africa. So I know what to expect in those parts. But if you're from the Western world, any very structured country like America, England, wherever, if you're from that part, when you're moving to another country, leave all that behind. Leave that system, that way of thinking, that way of doing things, those expectations. Leave it all behind. Because if you don't, you are setting yourself up for a major failure. It's like saying you're leaving Earth to go live on the moon, but then you get to the moon and then you expect to still continue living like you're on Earth. The continent of Africa and the rest of the world is just not set up like that. Because America is very structured. I lived in Minnesota. It's like saying, I'm leaving North Carolina and moving to Minnesota and expect to live the same way that I lived in North Carolina. I expect to live the same way in Minnesota. First of all, same country, but that's not possible. Because why? It snows like crazy in Minnesota, and it doesn't snow in North Carolina. So you can't live the same life that you live in North Carolina and expect it to live in Minnesota. So the same principle apply here. I've been watching a lot of other YouTube videos or people that have moved to the continent, and that's any country, and they complain, oh, it's like this and it's like that. And I was making those same complaints. I was having those same complaints. I was literally crying boo-hoo tears a couple of weeks ago because things are not structured here. And every time I would do boo-hoo tears, my husband said, do you want to go back to America? And I'm like, no, I don't want to go back and go be working 24/7. I like how I am here. I just needed to be a little bit more structured. And he's like, well, you're not in America. You're not in Minnesota. You're not in America. So you can't be more structured. You have to adjust. And that was a huge reality check for me, because things are not structured in Africa. And it can be a good and a bad thing. You know, it can be a good and a bad thing. You have to keep an open mind. You know, you have to keep an open mind. Sometimes, you know, we're so used to a systematic society in America, in the West, that we that have moved here or moving here, we can't seem to get out of that mindset. And if you keep that mindset, moving to Africa will be a nightmare for you. It will be a huge nightmare for you, like it was for me a couple of weeks ago. You know, I was boo-hooing, and my kids were looking at me like, "Mommy, are you really crying?" And, you know, yes, I was. And now that I have come to my senses and I had a long chat with my husband, it's like, I understand it's not right. I understand it doesn't make sense, but that's just how it is. And my mom has this thing, she says, if you want to live in Bat Town, you have to hang like bats. And that's the mentality you have to come to Africa with, or you have to go anywhere you're moving to with. You know, you can't, brings me back to my point, you can't want to live on the moon and continue and feel like it's going to be like, or have the same level of comfort as it is, as if you're living on Earth. It's not possible. So I had to get out of my feelings with that real quick. And it didn't even matter that I had lived in Ghana many years ago. And I had visited 4-5 times before we even moved in the last 4 years. I visited 4 or 5 times. It didn't even matter, you know, but visiting somewhere and living there are two completely different things. And I had the shock of my life recently, and I just boo-hooed. Like, I was really crying and sobbing. And my husband was like, "Are you okay? Do you want us to go back?" You know, I mean, he's used to it, you know. He's from here. Although he hasn't lived here in a long time, but he has adjusted easily, you know, better than me, you know. I thought I was going to adjust, but oh my God. And it was just one person. It was just one person that did it for me, and I'm getting to that. It was just one person that did it for me, and it just set me off. You know, so if you're going to move from the West, if you're going to move from any structural country to Africa, to any country on the continent, let go of your Western comfortability. Let go of your American, your European comfortability. Africa has no structure. They have no system. Well, maybe I'm wrong for saying they have no system. They do. They just don't follow it. They just don't follow it, and that's normal. That's the norm for them. And you know, you have to join it. You want to live in Bat Town, you got to hang like bats. You know. So yeah, if you're gonna move to Africa, or if you're going to move to a whole another country, any country for that matter, you have to let go of your comfortability of where you're moving from. Because, you know, and that's, even though it's a bad thing, in my opinion, that there is no kind of structure or system, or they choose not to follow the system, it's a bad thing, because that's why Africa is still technically in the Stone Age. I know Africa cannot be like the West. It can be like America. It can be like England. It can be like none of that. But have some kind of system. Somebody can't want something and spending money for it, and then you have them going around in circles. That is my biggest problem with Africa, and I don't think I will ever get used to that. Like I told my husband, I just want to get to the point where, because we're still in our Airbnb, we're still renovating our house. Once we get settled in our house, I'm not gonna deal with none of that. I'm just not gonna deal with it, because I can't get used to the lack of customer service and no system. I can't get used to it. So what I've decided to do is, once we get settled in our own home, I'm just not going to deal with that. I'm just not going to deal with that. You know, the good thing about having a little bit, the only thing you can enjoy really in Africa here is when you're comfortable and you have enough money, you can get domestic staff. And those are the ones you can control, and not necessarily control, but those are the people you like have control over. But like, if you decide to go to, like, let's say, immigration office, they are gonna give you the run. You know, it's there's no, oh, fill out this form, this is what you have to do, da 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 da, and that's it. Pay whatever money you need to pay or whatever, and that's it. Africa is not set up like that. If you're gonna go to any kind of office, even if it's a governmental office, be ready for the runaround. Be ready for it. And that's something, me personally, I just cannot get used to. So